Hello and welcome to The Culture Show. We're here in London's National Gallery and Andrew's back from Paris, as you can see. We're at the Picasso exhibition right next to the man himself.
Here he is, Pablo, with those dark eyes that seem like they're burning a hole in you. I love the way the exhibition starts, because it starts with a whole sequence of these self-portraits. He's got these eyes that stare. He was brought up in Andalusia, where they have this thing called la mirada fuerte, which is a powerful...
The look of death.
The powerful way of looking. And I think they have this idea that to look at somebody is almost like to possess them. And women who knew Picasso, particularly the women who became Picasso's lovers, described the moment where they meet him almost as a kind of him hypnotising you. You know, he was short, he was a little bit dumpy, but he had this amazing kind of animal magnetism. And if we come round here, suddenly he's turned into the Minotaur. You know, the mythical creature who eats young virgins. So it's this constant sort of self-invention. And I think he doesn't like the idea of just being one person.
Every picture is completely different. You would never really work out that they were all even by the same person, let alone of the same person. So what's this based on?
Well, this is very much an old man's painting. I mean, this is 1969. This is 4 years before Picasso died. And he's still... I think he's still the Casanova Picasso, but now he's the Casanova in art rather than in reality, and he's sort of devouring her, kissing her. This has been lent, interestingly, by Jeff Koons, the American artist.
The egg guy.
The egg guy. Yeah. And apparently Jeff keeps this on the wall of his bedroom.
Does he? Saucy beggar. I would have thought it was maybe not colourful enough for him.
When he paints this beautiful nude, I think he's thinking about Titian, he's thinking about Manet's Olympia, but of course, you know, he's completely sort of wrestled that tradition into something different. But I'm curious to know what you think about these nudes, because some women say that they feel that Picasso's very kind of, you know, misogynist and sexist and violent with women, the way he paints them.
It's not telling you about her, it's telling you about him. I think he imposes himself on everything that he paints, but that doesn't make it not beautiful.
He says, I don't want to paint a picture of what a woman looks like. I want to almost just state woman. I want to say breast. I want to say belly. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's like, so it's almost as if he's taken her to bits in his mind. But in the end, I find it very tender, even though it's got that kind of energy about it.
That's tender, because that's...
Yeah, that's Marie-Thérèse.
That's got a kind of, like a sadness about it, and it's beautiful, and it's...
Funnily enough, at this moment, I mean, you can see that looks a bit like a Henry Moore. At this moment, Picasso is doing a whole load of little drawings inspired by Marie-Thérèse's curvaceous body. And Henry Moore will see those drawings, and basically the whole of Henry Moore's career as an artist is kind of mapped out in those Picassos. This is a really strange, powerful, slightly weird picture.
It is a bit weird.
I think he's looking at an artist like Gauguin. And maybe again he's got a bit of Van Gogh in his mind, you know, that non-natural colour. But it just makes you realise, it's one of the things that's interesting about the show, I think, is it just does make you realise again how protean Picasso is. And I have to say, maybe I should whisper this, but if you come over here, how incredibly bad Picasso could be.
You can't say
there are some truly shockingly awful pictures. I'm sorry. I mean, there's this sort of, you know, ha-ha-ha joke, the egg yolk, and it's like, you know, spot the coded penis. But...
Spotted that.
Sort of dips in and out of focus for me, this exhibition. But here, and this is a little room dedicated to Picasso's muses. I think there must be something in the water in London at the moment, because I was just at there's this big Van Dyck exhibition at Tate Britain, and right in the middle of the Van Dyck exhibition there's a painting of Mrs. Van Dyck next to Van Dyck's mistress. And here we are in the Picasso show, and there's Mrs. Picasso, Olga, 1923, and here Marie-Thérèse, the mistress, who's about to replace her. It's a little bit like Picasso Carry On movie, where Picasso is in the south of France with Olga, and he's kind of running from one beach hut to the other on the same beach, because he's brought Marie-Thérèse with him.
OK. But you couldn't get two more different paintings than this and this.
No,
and
no,
do you think the fact that he was so maybe he was a kind of compartmentalizer? What does this tell us about him as an artist?
He paints Olga, and she is part of this moment after the war. There's been all this death, and it's as if he turns back to this much more sort of realistic art. It's almost as if he wants to get a grip on the world or to make the world whole again.
To make it make sense.
And that's part of what she represents. And she's a very conservative character, Olga, whereas Marie-Thérèse is
getting
not.
That from
You're getting it from the pictures,
yeah.
There was something quite ruthless about the way he treated them. And I think that Marie-Thérèse, he literally went out to get her, you know, to reinvigorate his art. She was 17 years old, and he was 47. Now we're in the world of still life, and there's this sort of... You know, Picasso doesn't want just to be every painter in the history of the world. He wants to paint every genre. So he's like a one-man museum.
He sort of does a greatest hits. He's not just a tribute act. He's like...
He does everything. He covers everything. You know, he does history painting. If you think of Guernica, he does, you know, grand narrative art. He does the nude. And here he's done still life. And I just, you know, I love Cubist.
Explain to me the idea behind Cubism.
The theory of Cubism is that if I look at you and I'm looking at you, I'm doing this, and then I see you, you become Cubist because I see your eye, I see your hair, I see your back, and he's trying to put all of that on one picture. So it's like blap, 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 layering.
Right.
It's meant to make you think, what is my experience? How do I experience something? I mean, is that a second? Is that a week? Is that everything he looked at in the cafe that day? The newspaper, you know, the guitar...
It's a violin.
The rug... No, it's a guitar, Lauren. It's a guitar. It
Really?
might say violin.
It's called violin in newspaper?
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Right, OK.
It's definitely a guitar. God,
Looks like
honestly,
a guitar.
bloody
hell.
hell.
It's got 4 strings.
I mean, the thing about Picasso is he's fundamentally restless. He cannot bear to stay still. He can't bear to stand still. He's always moving. He can't bear to have one woman. You know, he can't bear to have one personality. He can't bear to have one point of view. That's the key to him.
But is he good at everything, or does he occasionally spread himself too thin?
He's compelled. I mean, he's good when he's compelled. If Picasso is going to be everybody and do everything, you know, if he's going to inhabit the whole history of art, then he's going to have to, you know, he's going to have to put his own ghost into the painting of the most famous work of art, you know, of the whole Spanish tradition, which is Las Meninas.
So explain the idea of Las Meninas to me.
Well, Las Meninas itself, the original, which is pretty close to, what Velázquez does is he puts us in the mirror. So basically, it's a painting of us looking at ourselves being painted.
So this is the artist here.
That's the artist, that's his canvas, and that is the king and queen. In this case, that would be you and me, the king and queen.
Naturally.
But in Picasso's version, we've turned into these sort of weird Picasso gargoyles. The dogs just become this rather crazy, like Queen's Corky. But,
like a bit of a draft excluder.
But it is, it's a draft excluding dog. But the kind of... What's really interesting, I think, about this is the way in which the relatively small figure of Velázquez has become this huge figure, which seems to me to be Picasso and Velázquez kissing each other.
Ah, yes, yes.
It's like a kind of totem pole. At the beginning of his life, he looks at the artists of the past really, I think, in a way just to find his own way, to make his vocabulary. But by the end of his life, it's as if it's become something else for him, the art of the past. It's become like something that he can hit off or have a conversation about. So what do you think of it?
It's a bit of a head spin, to be honest. I'm going to have to come back. But such a privilege to get to wander around all on our own. It's amazing. And if you want to see Picasso challenging the past, it's on at the National Gallery until the 7th of June. Now we're going to catch up with the extremely art-savvy music group Peter, Bjorn and John. Hello, you bunch.
Hello.
Let me